it's the off season, the deep off season of the Texas high school football season, and that doesn't mean that people have stopped working. In fact, this is the time when you see a lot of players around the state really turn up the training and try to figure out how they can get better. And here to talk a little bit about one way of doing that is the founder of a new network, Sports1. We're joined by Bill Webb. Bill, appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about Sports1 and the Sports1 Network. Tell me how this all came about and kind of the brainchild behind this.
Well, we've been in the training business with quarterbacks, receivers, offensive skill players since 2012. And as time went by, we determined that if the only way we're going to train people is on the field, we're really limited. So now we have quarterbacks particularly that fly in from all over the country to train, but we started going to Europe a few years ago, and we do camps over there during the month of November, and we really had a strong need as we left there for something for those kids to continue to work on because they just don't have the type training programs, particularly in Germany and Italy. So we created something that was a distance learning model, a way that you could go online. The second part of it is, as a parent, I got 2 kids in high school now, one that graduated a year ago. I'm sort of the ultimate consumer parent for sports training.
Sure.
And you just seem to find out stuff in fits and starts. If you know where to Google, you might get something good. But people who train for a living tend to not put everything on the internet because they want you to have to come to them and pay for it. So we really had the idea of being a resource for an athlete, for a parent, and particularly youth coaches who are looking for good information. So it's not a real proper term for the internet age, but we're a one-stop shop for training virtually, and we're excited about it.
And so, in a lot of ways, it sounds like you saw a place where maybe there was a bit of a void, right? Where it's like, here's a place, where can I go? That's just one place that I can get all the training modules that I'm going to need. Because I think you're right. I think you look across the internet, and there's great information out there, but it's all scattered to the 10 winds. For you, it seems like your goal is gathering it all in one place and saying, hey, if you want to come and learn to be a better athlete, Sports1 is your place.
Yeah. So about 30% of the content we're basically pulling from other places to make it more convenient. The other 70% is content that we create, either video, audio, or even written in some cases. And it really is. It's a place that you can come to. Right now, it's football. We'll eventually roll out the other team sports. Baseball will come out in May. But there's other topics, things like recruiting. We're not a recruiting service, but say a parent wants to understand what's a walk-on, what's a preferred walk-on, what's a dead period for NCAA recruiting. We talk about why it's important to go to college camps, and that's one of the features that we have. It's very difficult. If you know where to go Google to find a particular college's camp, you can do that. But there's really not many places, really any that I know of, where you can go find every college football camp in Texas and get a link directly back to them. So it's really just us trying to bring everything under one banner.
Well, and I think that, man, I get those emails all the time, and I'm sure you get questions all the time about, hey, because the recruiting process, especially for people who their first real engagement with the football world is that their kid is starting to play and maybe is starting to excel in football and starting to get recruited. It's a wilderness out there, and if you don't know what you're doing, I mean, it's really easy to get lost. And so I think that's really interesting that you guys include that type of information for parents. So I think it's interesting that there's going to be stuff on there that's training for players. Obviously, that's first and foremost. But it's not just for players. Parents can get involved here, and then you mentioned the youth coaches as well. It seems like there's a wide swath of people that you're appealing to here.
Yeah, so a couple of things. We call it sideline knowledge. A parent is talking to another parent on the sideline of a 7-on-7 game. They may be getting accurate information. They may not. Our idea is to be able to bring, facts to the table for a parent. And another thing that's important, really the basic. We love college, high school and college football, just like you do. But it all starts with middle school and high school football. And, what we're really trying to do is put information in the hands of the kid who may never play college football. He may never get a scholarship. Programs have 70, 80 kids on the sideline. 30 of them really, get in there and make a difference. But you got to have that other 50 or 60 to have a program. So this isn't just about elite athletes training. This is for any kid. We just put a series on there about speed training that you can really do by yourself. We have a series coming up on practicing quarterback by yourself. Everybody can't go hire a $150 trainer. Everybody can't run to the gym 4 days a week. We're trying to put tools in their hands so the kid could look at it on his phone and then go out in the front yard and emulate it and practice it. The parent can see it. And then the last thing is we're developing a series of videos for that youth coach who's probably a volunteer at the recreational level who says, I'm more than happy to coach, but I don't know how to run a practice. So we're trying to put things out there so that coach has a resource to, be able to create a good experience for an athlete so they don't play 1 year and quit because all they did was stand around and practice all the time.
Well, when you take a look at Sports1 Network, there's a ton of video content on there. There's a ton of stuff. How do you navigate the idea of not only putting the best kind of content out there, but also keeping it current? Because as you know, football is there are advances being made in training every single seems like every single day. How do you make sure that you guys are keeping current and making sure that you guys have the best possible information up there?
So one of the things is there's not a Sports1 way of doing it. So our idea is to bring perspectives, different instructors' perspectives. We have several high school coaches on there, and they may talk about a 3-step drop for a quarterback differently because they do it differently in their programs. That's fine. We're also doing what we call perspective reporting. So if we're talking about a walk-on process, we may have a short video from an athlete who has walked on at a school and what it was like for him. Then we have a short video about the parent and what the process was like for them. Then we may talk to the recruiting coordinator for that school. So we're trying to give all kinds of different perspectives to a subject. We call it clusters. And so when we're talking about quarterback play and maybe you're talking about the quick game, we may have 5 different coaches that have a video about that because we're not there to say this is the right way. We're there to say these are the different perspectives on how this is taught.
You defer to the experts.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. I mean, that's, in the Google world, they want to know who the experts are. That's exactly what we're trying to do is pull content that exists, create content, and be a resource for people who want to know how it's done.
Well, and just before we got on the air here, you mentioned to me that there's a big time name that I think is coming to the Sports1 Network, and I guess you can help reveal it here on the show as well.
Yeah, literally today's the day we're releasing it. So Tom House, who's kind of the mad scientist of both pitching and quarterback mechanics. He's going to be in what we call our quarterback room. That's our podcast on Sports1. We'll do that tomorrow. And then our sort of sister company, Quarterback Ranch, Tom is going to be the keynote speaker at our Adidas camp, which will be in July at LD Bell High School.
Wow.
So we're really excited. We've had to change our format because in the past, Les Miles was there last year, and he got up and talked for 20 minutes about quarterbacks. Tom House can't talk 20 minutes about anything, so we've cleared the deck. We're going to have an hour for him in between the morning and afternoon sessions at lunch in the indoor at LD Bell, and just let him talk, and we're really excited.
You mentioned Quarterback Ranch. I do want to ask you about that. You're the founder of Quarterback Ranch as well. How have you seen that grow over the course of it? Because that's a name. Obviously, we'll talk about what's on your chest here in a moment, but. South Lake Carroll has a history of putting out great quarterbacks. It seems like this feels like a natural fit with Quarterback Ranch, coming from South Lake.
Well, it really started when my son, who's now at Texas A&M, was a 6th grader, and I was sitting in the stands with Hal Wasson at a George Whitfield camp at Dragon Stadium, and it was terrible. George Whitfield did a good job, but the logistics of the camp was really bad, and they were having to borrow footballs from South Lake Carroll and do different things. And I've been in the sports and event business my entire life, and I just asked Hal, are they always like this? And he said, yeah, pretty much. And so at that point in time, I decided I could be really good at creating the right experience for the athlete and for the parent, and then I could hire people. So I hired so we created Quarterback Ranch. I hired a kid, and he was a kid then, by the name of Nate Popple, who had been the quarterback at Texas A&M Kingsville. He was my first employee. He's now our general manager, and there's another little story I can tell you in a minute. But he's been with me since day one, and we began to create this process. Chase Wasson was a part early on, and what we just saw is that there was a real need for camps that produced a good experience, that started on time and that ended on time. So we spent a lot of time in our brand and our website development. A lot of the people that are in the training business do it part-time. They're coaches, they're ex-athletes, and they do it in their spare time. You know, they do it on a field they're probably not supposed to be on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody slips them $50 and that's the transaction, and, you know, that's really no way to run a business. So over the years, we've been able to develop a brand of business. I had a great interaction early on with Gino Pierce, who owns
Mm-hmm.
Performance Course. My kids were in Performance Course at South Lake, and we really became the performance course for skills training. We go into the school systems during the off season. This is our hot time of the year, and we train particularly in the middle schools, but the middle schools and the varsity level, and that's really been our business. We do camps around the country. We do group sessions every Wednesday and every Saturday at LD Bell, but the two best things I ever did was hire Nate, and number two, have lunch with Gino and understand. And still to this day, Northwest ISD, we're hand in hand with them and all the middle schools. They do performance course 3 times a week, and they do it with us 2 times a week before school, and we love it. We've trained a lot of big time players and still do. We got a couple in the NFL, right on down to college and high school. But at the end of the day, we're trying to take that 5th or 6th grader who thinks he wants to be a quarterback, but honestly may never turn out to be a quarterback, and do things to help them learn the position, but also help them be better athletes. So whatever position they turn out playing. My son's a perfect example. When he was in the 6th grade, he was a center. And, you know, as he graduated from Carroll, he's a 6'3", you know, quarterback. And who would have known in the 6th grade if he was going to, you know, actually turn out to be a quarterback. So our goal is to help those kids have fun, help them enjoy the game. We'll train our share of great quarterbacks, but our real job is to take that 5th or 6th grader, whatever he's playing, and help him through the process, whether it's in school, in our group sessions. We do a little bit of private instruction, but we've got 15 or 20 guys who train all over, and we love it. I mean, some of our kids get scholarships because that's just what you have to do. And it's been fun to watch a kid that we started. We've got a receiver from Grapevine by the name of Jack Ertz. He was our first student when he was in the 5th grade, and he's a receiver now at Columbia on a full ride, had a great career at Grapevine, and we used to say Jack couldn't catch a cold in the 5th grade. And now he's 6'4". He's a tremendous young man. He's on a full ride at Columbia, and that's what's been great for us, is to watch those journeys.
I can't let you go without asking you about the Carroll Dragons. Worth mentioning, you are the president of the South Lake Dragons Booster Club, so you are a little bit biased here. But how are we feeling about the Dragons heading into 2020?
Well, you got to be excited if Quinn Ewers is at quarterback.
That's a good place to start.
He's a tremendous athlete. The irony is, so when I first met Nate, he was in a cow pasture training Quinn because Quinn's his cousin.
Oh, wow.
And we had no idea at that point in time what Quinn was going to turn into, but I hired Nate because I met him through Quinn's dad, Curtis. So we watched Quinn grow up. You know, Riley Dodge has done, you know, a great job with that program. He's really made it fun to be a part of. You know, I'm getting older, but I just love to go to practice and watch the way they do it. You know, I know he was on with you the other day, a little funny story, and he was talking about the Weather Channel. So yesterday we slipped him a Weather Channel hat at practice the first thing in the morning. So I got a nice text that says, "Boy got jokes." So so it was a nice connection. But you know, it's a great program. It's Reload, whether it's baseball, cross country, whatever it is. We're blessed to be in a great community with great coaches, great parents, and obviously some pretty good athletes.
Well, if people want to find out more about Sports One, where can they go?
Sports1Connection.com. We kind of call it Sports1 Network, but it's Sports1 Connection, and 1 is the number 1. And then Quarterback Ranch is thequarterbackranch.com. We're on all the social media platforms, and there's plenty of information on there.
Well, big things doing out there in South Lake. Bill Webb, really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in, and I'm sure we'll see you on a practice field soon.
Thanks, Greg.